the main disconnect.
According to the InterNACHI Home Inspection Standards of Practice, which you can find at www.nachi.org/SOP, the inspector is required to inspect the main service disconnect. The inspector shall describe the main service disconnect's amperage rating if labeled. All electrical systems require a means of disconnection so that the service can be shut down quickly if any dangerous conditions exist. In this section, we will look at the types of disconnects and the common problems that need to be reported. The service equipment is the necessary equipment, usually consisting of a circuit breaker or circuit breakers, or switches and fuses and their accessories, connected to the load end of service conductors to a house and intended to constitute the main disconnecting means for service. The disconnecting means for service should be located outside or inside the house as close as possible to the point of entrance of the service conductors. The service equipment must be identifiable and marked as a service disconnect. A common service size for a single-family house is 200 amps, and the main 200 amp breaker located at a main panel board would be the main disconnect for the service. Requirements. It is required that the entire electrical supply to the home be able to be shut off with 6 or fewer moves of the hand. This can be in the form of 1 or more knife switches, 1 or more fuses or fuse blocks, and most commonly and in more recently built homes, by throwing the breaker or breakers. If the supply cannot be disconnected from one location in this manner, the home inspector should report that the system is in need of repairs or upgrades. Types of disconnect. There are different types of disconnects depending on the age of the property. Knife switch. This is the oldest type of disconnecting means. We all remember the old horror movies where Dr. Frankenstein energized his creation. The switches used were knife switches. Fuse blocks. Often called mains and range panels, the electrical supply is shut down by pulling the 2 fuse blocks from the panel. Breaker. This is the most common type of disconnect we encounter. Throwing 1 or more breakers shuts off the electrical power. In most cases, we see a single main breaker, but there are split bus panels where the homeowner would need to trip several breakers to effect a total shutdown. Again, the rating, or fuse or breaker size, of the disconnect relates to the total amperage available within the home. If the main disconnect is, for example, rated only at 100 amps, it doesn't matter that the SECs are rated for 200 amps. Split bus panels. As discussed, some are of a split bus design, which means that the bus bars that the breakers draw power from do not extend right through the panel. Normally, these panels will have multiple double pole breakers at the top of the panel, controlling the usual 240-volt circuits, such as for a clothes dryer, stove, and air conditioning unit. However, on these panels, one of these double pole breakers also shuts down power to the lower parts of the bus, which controls the individual 120-volt branch circuits. Remote disconnects. In many homes, and in nearly all mobile or manufactured homes, the service disconnect is not in the main distribution panel. This is not a problem, but care must be taken to fully understand the grounding and bonding of all downstream distribution panels. Mains panels and sub-panels. Remember that the panel with the main disconnect is the service panel, and the panels downstream or on the load side of the service panel are distribution panels or sub-panels. Neutrals and grounds should be bonded together only in the service panel and not in any downstream distribution panels.